Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de why I've rid myself of most of my real estate obligations at this juncture in life, and how my view on real estate investing in general has, well, shifted quite a bit through my FIRE journey. Yeah. Hey, Ozempic here. Okay, so right off the bat, I have to mention, I had real estate. I still have real estate. This particular rant is just a very personal opinion. It doesn't even cover my own wifey situation. She still has some additional real estate. Whereas for me, at the end of this year of 2025, I am finally free from my other real estate obligations entirely. Oh my God. I have to say, my good Lord, I've been waiting to be free, and now I am free. I can finally talk about this subject, but to be clear, I still have our primary residence piece as a piece of real estate, so I'm not saying real estate in general is just plain on bad. We as a household still has more than one even, okay? But for the parts that I manage, which is only the joint financial part, right now there's just the primary residence, okay? And I have to say, it just feels incredibly liberating. And it wasn't always so. When I first heard about the idea of early retirement, I really thought real estate investing was the way to go. Hell, I thought it was some sort of cheat code. After all, if I can use leverage and buy many units, rentals, or whatever, who even needs a lot of capital in order to get away from the dreaded corporate world, right? So how did I go from that version, where real estate investing is the best, to where I am today, actually early retired and finally feeling like a burden's been lifted from my brain after getting rid of my rental properties? Well, I guess you'll find out, right? Anyway, so if you're intrigued by what I might say, please subscribe, like, comment, share, or all that social media buzzwords, or do whatever you want, because I'm rich enough for me, and I'll be great regardless. My first piece of advice is that you should invest in real estate if there is basically no other reasonable alternatives. I say that because, you know, looking what I look like, I do know that in some parts of the world, such as in China, everybody is, all that their choices in terms of investment is basically real estate. Now, there are lots of reasons for that, but the TLDR is simple, okay? Some markets have good rental prices, others do not. But if you're in the West, nothing really beats the stock market. The reality is that for most rental markets, you have to pick between property appreciation and cash flow. Again, even in the US, I'm not saying that rentals can't work. They can, but they require a lot of specialized research right from the get-go. And for most people who already have a 9-to-5 job, they just won't have enough time to really figure that one out. And I count myself in that group, okay? The rental properties that I personally owned previously, well, they weren't even bought to be rentals in the first place. They were all places I bought to live for myself and became accidental rentals after I left the state, essentially. So yeah, the criteria for such purchases are simply different if you were thinking about them as if you were thinking about them as rentals right from the get-go. So maybe then that's much less of a surprise that I've moved away from my accidental rentals. They weren't even in the same states that I currently live in. So just imagine the amount of paperwork and bureaucracy that has plagued me for these remote offerings. So yeah, don't do it unless it's your only option. By the way, of course, investment in assets are still better than not. But again, if you're watching this clip, mostly likely from the West, that's unlikely to be the case. So real estate's kind of low down my list at this point. Now, the primary reason why I say it's low down on my list, which is my second point, and that is that real estate investing, it's definitely a job. It's not remotely passive, unless, of course, until you hire someone to manage it for you, which would imply that you've built up a portfolio already, in which case that means that you have been working as a landlord for years. So yeah, not really or exactly passive. Now, this comment is situational. Obviously, if you own a duplex, you live in one and rent out of the other, the landlording part of the job is fairly simple because whatever fixes needs to be done, you are right there. But only, say, if you're owning like a single duplex, that's hardly enough for anyone not leaning into the leanest of FIRE trends, right? So for real estate investing to show its superpower of leverage more clearly, you would need more units, like a portfolio of units, at least a handful, probably even more than that. That implies a lot of a lot more careful upfront research, a lot of paperwork to get all these sales done. And frankly, once you do have, let's say, a handful or more rental units, the amount of renters you get will constantly be moving in and out. So that type of busy work will literally never stop. I only had a couple of rental units, and even then I dreaded the annual conversation about renewals and so forth, because it just breaks the illusion that real estate investing is somehow passive instead of a total job, like a side gig. Okay. Now, my point is that number 3 really has to do with, like, what do you have to do in the course of being a landlord? Mentally is exactly the opposite things that would for me, quantify a life of freedom in FIRE. Namely, while you're pretty much stuck with dealing with local bureaucracy and authority, there's not much you can do about that unless you're willing to run for local office and change things from the grounds up. Okay, so this complaint is totally about the mentality part. As I always said about FIRE, it just gives you freedom to not deal with people that you don't want to deal with. Except when it comes to local housing rules or HOAs if you happen to be in a condo, right? You cannot escape those people. So maybe that one is just on me because I personally really scoff at authority at every turn, okay? And again, like I mentioned, my rentals were all over the country, multiple states, so I never really felt like I had any real control over those situations. Instead, I always felt like I'm at the mercy of these random, very specific local rules. I mean, the reality is that I'm still in the same boat for where I live right now, my primary residence, except, oh wait, I live here, so if I really had a problem, I can go complain to City Hall locally. I cannot possibly do something like that for my out-of-state rentals, okay? So the lack of feeling of control and freedom, that's something I definitely didn't think about 10 years ago when I thought, being a landlord of dozens of rentals would be great. But, live and learn, right? So, in conclusion, I get it. Most people still want to own a primary residence, right? We all have strong nesting instincts at heart. To be honest, I'm not even sure whether that's a great idea for a smallish household like wifey and mine, right? But I have finally got off the real estate investing bandwagon because I have been a landlord that's accidental and an occasional one, and it just doesn't vibe with my lazy ass personal style. Okay, I'd rather watch my money or my capital fluctuate in the market. I get it. I do put my money where my mouth is. I sell those rentals and put them mostly back in the market all at once. And guess what? So far, it hasn't really gone up. It's been dipping a bit, right? But I'm okay with that. At least with stocks, I have some semblance of liquidity again, advantage over real estate. That's a different story for a different day. But for now, do you guys agree, or am I off my rockers? What percentage of your portfolio is in this asset class the divine's not making more of, right? Like people like to say that, not making more land, property land, okay? Feel free to yell at me below. Until next time, cheers, à la prochaine.